Who's gonna take the first stop of the Crankworx FMBA World Slopestyle Tour? Is it A, defending Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Champion, Brett Reeder? B, the biggest comeback story in style since the fanny pack, Sweden's Emilio Hansen? C, German technical terminator and third-place Red Bull Joyride finisher, Erik Fedko? D, the first ever Triple Crown of Slopestyle winner and human nuclear fusion reactor, Nicoli Rogatkin? Or E, none of the above. This is the most skilled, most competitive, most fashion-forward lineup of riders to ever start a season of Crankworx Slopestyle. The Max's Slopestyle in memory of McGazza, coming to you live from Rotorua, New Zealand.
It's time, Slopestyle fans. The 2019 Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Championship has begun. We're kicking things off live from Rotorua, New Zealand. It's the Max's Slopestyle in memory of McGazza, the big man, Kelly McGarry. This is always the best way to start the season because we do it in honor of a dear friend who passed a few years ago, designed and built this course, a course that has remained relatively unchanged in the last 5 years that we've been kicking off our season here in New Zealand. There's a look at the trophy up for grabs today. And another tradition, we call it the McGazza train. We get all of his friends and all of the competitors up to the start of this course through the traditional Waharoa, down through all 9 of these features in honor of the big man. Now take a look, a lot of times these riders, mixing it up with Kelly's friends, choose to throw big tricks and really get the blood flowing for this event and for this season. Wow, we can feel it. The energy is really starting to build here. We've been waiting to kick this off. It ended in such an exciting way, the 2018 season last summer in Whistler, and we cannot wait to see what 2019 has in store. I'm your host, Cam McCall, alongside my brother, Tyler McCall. He'll be breaking down the fine details. And man, what do you expect to see here?
I mean, it's been a long 7 months since our last stop, and everybody's been training super hard. We see little glimpses of it on their Instagram, social media, but you know some stuff they want to keep secret, and this is like the first time of the year that we get to see what they've been holding back.
And we can't wait to see, because last year was such a gunfight between 2 riders. One of those riders won here last year for his second time. He ended up taking the Slopestyle World Championship as well. Talking about Brett Reeder, Ty.
Brett, at the beginning of last year, was looking completely unstoppable. From day one of practice last year, it was pretty evident that he was shooting for that top gun, as he always does, and he was able to take that top spot.
Now, Brett Reeder never liked seeing the number 2 next to his name. He had a win to kick off the season, and then he had 3 second places. But a guy who we've seen with the number 4 alongside his name plenty times last season, he took 3 fourth places out of the 4 stops and locked up 4th place overall in the Slopestyle World Championship, Thomas Lemoyne.
Thomas isn't just going for slopestyle here, he's going for that king of Crankworx overall. He won the pump track last night. He tried his hand at speed and style, made it really far, but ended up having a couple crashes. So hopefully he's not too sore for slopestyle, but he's been working hard all week.
So those are 2 riders who are coming off a huge 2018 seasons, but let's talk about a comeback story. Max Fredrickson started the season last year and exactly the way he didn't want to, breaking his humerus, but he's back finally.
One of the hardest working kids out there. He's been hitting the gym, hitting the physio, getting everything back into shape, been practicing incredibly hard. His crash here last year took him out for the entire season. So you know that's gonna be in the back of his head, but he's gonna try to push that out and just focus and get the run that he possibly wanted to get last year. And can't wait to see him get a run down this course.
What's up, everyone? Nicoli Rogatkin here with
Tyler McCall, and we're here at the top of the 2019 Crankworx Rotorua Slopestyle course, and we're gonna give you the GoPro course preview. Let's get it.
dropping.
All right, coming into the roll-in here, built by the man, Kelly McGarry himself. Nicoli with the big backflip. We'll see some crazy stuff off that. This is a unique feature, not seen on many courses, into this massive super booter. You know Nicoli is gonna do some crazy stuff on that come finals day. Nice right hip. That one flows a little bit better than last year. Nicoli, the tail whip on the cannon, now into the whale tail. Coming into the on-off structure. Big scary drop with a super steep landing. Now you gotta juice all the speed you can get. Go under the gondola into your last chance to give something big for the judges. Nicoli is going to do some crazy stuff on that. Always does. And that's your 2019 GoPro course preview. That's good stuff.
Tyler, it's got to be fun following the man who was our huge story last season. And we mentioned he took the Triple Crown, but Tyler, break down the details.
The 2018 Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Championship happened exactly a year ago here in Rotorua, New Zealand.
That was exciting because this is the first year we've refocused the tour, meaning that all the Crankworx stops are the tour. This is the pinnacle of the sport here, 4 stops. 14 of the best riders we saw here kicking things off in Rotorua, but it was obvious very early that this season was going to be a 2-man race.
Reeder able to steal the show. Nicoli trying to pull out all the stops, but having to settle for an unhappy 5th place.
But we were scratching our heads thinking, if Nicoli Rogatkin were to have landed that run, would he have beat Brett Reeder? It would have been close. We had to wait a few months before we got to see these two square up against each other again. This time, Innsbruck, Austria. Brett Reeder bringing a brand new trick, the backflip tail off the flat drop.
Nicoli using Rotorua as motivation to dial in his tricks, get everything perfect, and boom, 1st place, taking it back away from Brett Reeder.
Now, Brett Reeder did not make it easy on Nicoli Rogatkin. He had to earn this one, but that's win number 1 for this season. Let's see if he can keep the momentum rolling. Very next weekend, Ligier, France.
Nicoli back to his usual form, pulling out all the stops, landing all his huge tricks, and then it was up to Brett to answer.
So at this point, we're thinking, all right, there's 4 events. Nicoli has won 1, Brett has won 1. It's still possible for somebody to win the Triple Crown.
Hadn't been done yet. Brett Reeder trying to take the Triple Crown away from Nicoli Rogatkin, pulling out all the stops, but going down so hard in his first run. We weren't sure if we'd see him again, but then he was back in the gate, 2nd run. Perfect, everything to pedals, and then it was up to Nicoli to answer.
Nicoli Rogatkin with the Triple Crown on his mind. He won in Austria, he won in Ligier, and in Whistler, he landed his dream run, knocking Brett Reeder off the top step of the podium and making history, first rider to win the Triple Crown. So that was the best season in the history of slopestyle, and for those of us like Tyler and myself who used to compete in this, it is such a privilege to be able to watch how much the sport has progressed. One of the guys we used to compete against, Darren Bearcloth, is joining us as a member of our broadcast crew this season. Let's send it down to Michaela Gatto to talk to Darren.
All right, thanks, Cam. I'm here with Darren, and we're going to talk about a rider of interest today that's got a very interesting story, Diego Cavarzazzi. Now, Diego rode in Whistler with a broken thumb last year, and he's out here today with another injury.
Yeah, absolutely. He crashed yesterday on the cannon log, separating his shoulder. Not a huge separation, but you know, enough to be a big pain in the butt for him. And the fact that he's out here riding is pretty impressive, just because, you know, I've done several dislocations in my shoulder, and I'm a Cam McCall, he's done a lot as well, and we all know how painful that is to actually push through, because there's so much going on in your shoulder, and out on these courses, there's so much articulation when you're doing your tricks, especially tail whip tricks. To be able to push through it, it's a young guy thing, I think, because I remember when I was past into my 30s, injury like that, I would just say, nope, I wasn't going to ride. But this guy's out here, he's going to tape himself up, and he's going to put on a show for everyone.
Yeah, I did that last year, and I was out for 5 months, so I have no idea how he's out there today, rolling through the course. I did catch up with him a little bit, and he said he is going to take it easy. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, kids these days, eh? Wild.
But I guess it's crucial points, so we're going to see what he has to offer.
Thanks, Michaela. Insane to see Diego still considering riding right now. You see him at the top of the course with that ice pack, but he's practiced all season for this moment. He's thinking, I just got to get 2 runs. That's all I need to get some points for the season. Speaking of 2 runs, that's just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the format. Tyler, walk me through exactly the ins and outs of how slopestyle competition works here in Crankworx.
So we have 14 riders total. They each get 2 attempts. Only the best run counts.
There's 4 judges to even things out, 2 European judges, 2 North American judges, a lot of prize money up for grabs, the overall Slopestyle World Championship up for grabs. If you win all 3, you win an extra $25,000. So a lot on the line, and if you're a fan of slopestyle mountain biking, this is your favorite moment of the year right here where we kick things off. Well, the stage has been set. There's been about 4 or 5 days of very productive practice out here. The crowd is filling in at Mount Ningataha because it's the Maxxis Slopestyle in memory of McGazza. The moment the Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Championship kicks off for the 2019 season, we'll be dropping the 14 best riders in the world shortly. You're not gonna want to miss it. Do not go away.
Your Kiwi absolutely flying here, pedaling through the air. What a run! Jill Kittner, the queen of Crankworx.
Well, take a look at the crowd as they prepare for what will undoubtedly be the best show on 2 wheels. Let's take a look at who our characters will be here in the best show on 2 wheels. Kicking off the 2019 season will be a fresh face out of Switzerland, Lukas Hooper. Now, we don't know a ton about Lukas because he earned some points last season. Wasn't expected to ride today until we lost some riders because of practice crashes. He'll be kicking things off, and then we'll boil it all the way down to our top 2 riders from the 2018 season. Of course, those 2 being Nicoli Rogatkin and Brett Reeder. But it is on. We have a rider in the start gate right now, Lukas Hooper, the Swiss rider. And we can't express enough how difficult it is to enter this upper echelon, the top 14 in the world. It pays off to show up early and ride practice, even though there's just a slim chance you're gonna make it in.
Lots of work behind the scenes that Lukas has been doing on the rest of the World Tour to get his way here. This is his first time in a Crankworx start gate. He's been looking great in practice all week. Got in because of another rider being injured. Not the way you want to get in, but here's his chance.
Here we go, 2019 season underway. First rider to drop, Lukas Hooper.
Starting off with a 360 bar spin to X up, tail up on the shark fin. Super clean backflip tail up on the super booter. Coming into the hip with a double tail whip. He's not holding back in his first Crankworx appearance so far. Truck driver on the cannon, coming up a little bit short, but able to maintain speed. That was an opposite tail whip on. Regular 360 off. Coming into the long and low. Bar spin, hoping he can get all his speed into this last jump. With a cork 720, Lukas Hooper stomping his first ever Crankworx run.
Wow, Lukas Hooper doing exactly what he needs to do to show that he belongs here. The list of tricks are basically prerequisites when it comes to the top 14 slopestyle riders in the world, but he mixed things up a little bit too. We'll break down some finer details of technicality in this replay. Now, one thing I noticed is he wasn't pedaling between features. There's a regular tail whip right there. He complimented that later on, didn't he, Tyler?
Yeah, and I loved seeing how clean that backflip tail whip was on that huge step up. Double tail whip here on the hip. Everything was perfect in pedals. He had a couple short landings, but he didn't let it throw him off too much. Now, my favorite part was where he was able to sneak an opposite trick in onto the on-off with an opposite tail whip.
A lot of mandatories here. He showed us what his natural direction was with that double tail up, and here he goes. How do you know that's opposite, Ty?
Well, he's a right foot forward rider. His other tail whips were going counterclockwise. That one was clockwise. Just the minor differences the judges really notice. He's doing it in his unnatural direction, and you'll see more and more of that as we get through the riders, especially when we get to Brett Reeder.
Well, what will the score be here for our young, fresh face on tour? A 65. Of course, he'll be holding down that lead because he's the first rider of the competition. But very, very smooth approach for a rider in his first appearance in front of all these people. Now, he's obviously no stranger to riding in front of judges, riding in front of a crowd, but the judges are more esteemed here. The crowd is bigger here. This is the big show.
Next up, we have Thomas Stead, my GT teammate. He's been working hard to get on tour. He wanted to be in this for a long time. He was also another alternate, able to get his way in because of another injured rider. He hasn't been holding back much in practice, so I'm really curious to see what he's got going in this run number 1.
So Tom is Stead, another rider who's taking his very first Crankworx slopestyle run.
Huge extension on that backflip tuck no-hander right out of the gate. Backflip Superman on the super booter. That was clean right there. 360 opposite downside tail whip. 360 on the cannon. Truck driver up. Tuck no-hander off. Now he was doing something that the crowd loves to see on this last jump here. There it is. Double backflip. Always a crowd favorite. Tom was doing those for the past like 3 days in practice. Just had it so dialed in.
Tom is Stead clawing his way onto the Slopestyle World Tour. This is a guy who comes from a BMX background, hopped on a mountain bike and said, hey, this is pretty fun. He took 5th at Big White last season, 1st at Dirt Wars, and now he's here. Take a look back at this run. Now, I was really excited to see this super booter.
He has some of the best 360 down whips in the game. He just catches them so early and everything's so locked in, and I don't think I've ever seen him screw one up. Been working hard to get onto this Crankworx stage. I talked to him about a week before we all traveled here, and he was wondering if he was going to get in, but he wanted to come into it as if he were in the mindset that he was for sure going to be in.
Look at that. His eyeballs staring at the landing after the first flip. Great air awareness out of this rider in his first Crankworx slopestyle appearance. What will the score be? Will he have enough to upset the current top score held by Lukas Hooper? A 65 is what he'll need to beat. Now the judges deliberating. So much at stake here when you consider it is very easy to get bumped off of tour. In your first event, your primary goal is to be securing that invitation into stop number 2, which will be in Innsbruck, Austria, later this summer. Now those eyes, I can't wait to see his second run. If he does that double flip again, we'll take a look at how he's staring at the landing halfway through that double backflip. Thomas Stead with a 60, so he'll go into second place right now. Not going to beat the well-rounded and well-executed run of Switzerland's Lukas Hooper. Now this rider, the Swedish rider who had his first Crankworx slopestyle appearance last season in Innsbruck, he wasn't very happy with that performance, but he's fought his way back here. He had a 14th at Innsbruck. But let's see if he can put together a run that he'll be happy with here to kick off this season.
He's been working really hard in the offseason. That was actually an opposite 360 1-footed can right out of the gate. So that's the biggest trick, most technical trick we've seen out of that so far. Backflip double bar spin on the super booter. Wow, perfectly clean, over-rotated cork 720. And by over-rotated, I mean that jump is a hip and you had to purposely over-rotate it. That was an opposite tail whip up onto the on-off. Regular 360 down. Backflip on the long and low. Coming into the last jump. An opposite cork 720.
That's it, no way.
I think that's a new one for Elanco. I haven't seen him do that yet.
This rider was not happy with his performance last year when he burst onto the Crankworx slopestyle stage. He's obviously been doing his homework. He's seen riders like Brett Reeder doing regular cork 7s and oppo cork 7s. He knew that's what he needed to learn in order to get a top spot here. Something tells me he's going to be able to slide into that leaderboard, but we're going to let the judges decide that. But taking a page out of Thomas Genon's book there with that opposite 360 topside 1-foot can.
You can tell he's been doing his homework in the offseason. He was really frustrated with his performance last year. I thought he rode amazing in his first Crankworx appearance, but it wasn't enough for him.
Now tell me why it's interesting for him to do that cork 720 on that hip right there.
So that is a hip to the right, so he actually has to intentionally overspin it. Do more than a cork 720. And then this right here, this is a cork 720 in his unnatural direction, spinning to the left on that one. Oh, almost under-rotating, but able to muscle it out. Look at the surprise on his face.
He was so close to throwing that magnificent run away on the final jump right there. Let's wait for the score. Alex Elanco catapults himself into the lead, an 80.75. All right, it's official. We are off and running here. Our third rider making it into the 80s. And here we go. This is a rider who's been on the scene for so long. He burst onto the scene at the ripe age of 15 in 2011. Look at that, he was just a little kid, and he's not fallen off tour every year since then, being consistent. Anthony Missouri, 8th overall in the Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Championship last year. He had a 3rd at the Tom Van Steenbergen Invitational at Big White. But he's looking to get back onto that podium. It's been a bit. He won in Les Duzel, France a few years ago. He wants to taste it again.
Better and better every year we see him. That's a new trick, 360 tail whip on the step down. We usually see him flip whipping those, so he's been working on those in the off season. I believe that was a backflip double bar spin, now coming into the hip.
Oh, this
double
is the run
whip.
he needs here, Tyler.
Everything looks perfectly clean so far. Front flip on the cannon, which is actually a hip, so that's got to be a tricky one.
Oh, no!
Oh, going for a double truck driver, just bobbling the bars.
Oh, Anthony Missouri, this is exactly the run he needed. So hard to see him go down right there. I'm just glad he didn't end up falling off of that structure. Speaking of falling off, we need to make sure we see Anthony Missouri finishing around 7th place here in the first round of the 2019 season to be able to maintain those points and stay on tour. He's going to finish this run off. I can't believe he was able to gate start, make it off that on-off box from a dead stop.
One of my favorite people to watch every time we come around to a Crankworx. You never know what he's going to do. He's always a little ball of energy, doing new tricks.
Well, Anthony Missouri, unfortunate fall there, but let's send it down to Michaela Gatto to catch up with Anthony.
Oh, with Anthony? I'm actually not with Anthony, but I am with Emil Hansen over here. Emil, you had a huge comeback last year in Whistler. There were tears shed. You did an amazing run. Your story's been told. I understand you're feeling a lot better now, but you had another crash yesterday. Your perspective on that?
Yeah, it's obviously a big bummer not being able to perform today. I was feeling really good in practice, and I've been really dedicated to my work all winter long, and we're really working towards this event all winter, so not being able to pull a run off is a really big bummer, not being able to be on course today. I was feeling really, it was a tough decision making, but it feels like the right thing to do. I've hit my head and ribs and cracked the helmet, so I should not be on the bike today. So.
Well, I think you have a really healthy perspective now of everything and stepping it up day by day, just progressing, and we'll see you in Innsbruck.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you.
Thanks, Michaela. Yeah, definitely a heartbreaker. We were thinking, all right, it was a 2-horse race for the entire 2018 season. We had Nicoli and Brett, and Emil really was going to be the guy to be the spoiler. He was looking magnificent in practice. A lot of people were picking him. So that 32 for Anthony Missouri, obviously going to be looking to improve in his final run when we get him back up to the top. But right now, earning himself a spot on tour. He had a 6th last year, so still hasn't broken into that top 5. But Lukas Knopf out of Germany dropping in.
This is his first performance on this course in Rotorua. He was an alternate last year, starting off with a triple truck driver on the start step down, 360 triple bar spin, backflip, tuck no hander to bar spin. He's really cramming a lot into this run. 360 tail whip on the hip, now coming into the cannon. Opposite 360. Judges are gonna like to see that. Backflip onto the on-off. Truck driver down. Huge front flip on that long and low there. Coming into the last jump.
Last jump, a double backflip. Lukas Knopf goes down.
Looked like he was just struggling for a bit of speed there, but went for it anyways. You could tell that when he pulled, he started getting a little sideways and was just trying to pull that thing around with everything that he had. So close. That was one of the best runs that I've seen him do to date. Everything was going to plan until that last jump.
Lukas Knopf was landing that double backflip on the last jump. Yep, you hear him say right there. Let's listen. He was very consistent with that double backflip in practice, but because he did that front flip on that long setup, long and low.
This right here, 360 triple bar spin off the start. I have no idea how you cram so much in so little airtime on that thing.
And to start your run out with that from cold, from sitting there, not warmed up, just drop in and get all 3 bar spins in that 360.
His run was looking really clean too. Rotations were perfect, landing at the top of the landing, not many pedals. Judges like to see when you're just flowing down the course. It doesn't look like you're fighting it, and that's what Lukas was doing.
Well, Alex Elanco dodging back-to-back bullets here. First, Anthony Missouri going down, and then this from Lukas Knopf. Oh, the right shoulder really got folded under him. Surprised to see him pop up so unscathed after that huge crash. These guys are tough, it turns out.
That was a violent crash, but we hope to see him back in the gate for run number 2. That was an exciting run he had going.
And he's made of rubber. So 41.25, Lukas Knopf will look toward that second run. Now, he came up short on the second to last feature on the course. He was doing a front flip on it. And to give you perspective here, let's take a look, a side view at this jump. It's really long. How long? Well, we could say 13 meters, or we could use some more appropriate New Zealand nomenclature. Here we go. We got a handful of hobbits, 4 Kiwis, and a cricket bat. But he was about 2 Kiwis too short on that front flip, and that's how he lost speed for that double backflip. Never forget about all 4 of those Kiwis.
Don't lose your Kiwis.
There we go. Look who we have at the top of the course right now, Jakob Wenzel. This guy has been improving so much. The last season, he really showed that he belonged here. He fell off two seasons ago, became the dual speed and style world champion. But once he earned enough points to get back into slopestyle, he picked up right where he left off and then some.
Now, I saw him do something new in practice that's a new trick for him. I hadn't seen him do it yet, so we're going to see if he's going to pull that into his first run here or save it for run number 2. 360 tuck no-hander, pretty unique trick right there. One of Jakob's favorites. Backflip tuck no-hander, that's a good link. There it is.
Yeah, oh no! Oh, 2 double backflips in a row from our last 2 competitors, both of them ending with dirt on the jeans. Jakob Vinsol. I mean, we talked about it with Lukas Knopf, and we can say the same thing for Jakob Wenzel. Consistent in practice with that double backflip. It just goes to show you always have to give credit to that trick because it's never easy. Well, a shame. We're seeing a lot of riders go down here. I'll tell you, this course is usually one that you don't see a lot of crashes on because it's so well built.
2019, these guys have to pull out all the stops though, so they're risking a lot in these first runs because they know what they have to do to get on that podium.
That's it. There's 9 features, and you need a top-tier trick on every single one of them if you're going to get into the top spots. He had a 6th place last season at Joyride, the biggest event of the season, a 5th place at Leger. So he's getting closer and closer to that top 3. He knows he needs tricks like that double backflip in order to take it to that next level. So we'll send him back up for his second run. But an update at the leaderboard as it stands so far. Alex Elanco out of Sweden holding down the fort with that score of 80.75.
Elanco's got to feel pretty good about being up there. After last year, his disappointment, worked really, really, really hard in the offseason, as the Swedes do. They just buckle down, focus, know what they need to do. The Swedes never cease to amaze us out here.
Well, the crowd looking to see a top-to-bottom run here stomped at the Maxxis Slopestyle in memory of McGazza. But more about Maxxis, Michaela was checking on some really cool stuff they have going on and what kind of tires these Maxxis riders are choosing out here. For more on that, take a look.
So I'm at the Maxxis booth right now with Bevan, New Zealand's distributor. Tell me a little bit about the tire that you guys have collaborated.
Well, thank you very much. Yes, we've collaborated with the New Zealand Maori Arts Council to rebrand the Maxxis Assegai. The Assegai is named after a Zulu spear, and a traditional Maori spear is the taiaha. And so we've developed this amazing artwork on the tire, and it's a limited edition Crankworx 2019 tire, only available here.
And I've heard the proceeds are going to something pretty special too.
Yes, we want to give back and say thanks for making Maxxis New Zealand's tyre of choice. So 100% of profits of the tyre, the T-shirt and the mudguard are going to trail building the Rotorua.
Well, that's absolutely amazing. Thank you, Bevan. And speaking of trails, Slopestyle's going on right now. Tell me a little bit about what the boys are running for tires.
Thanks, Michaela. Yeah, our guys are going to be running something with really low-profile tread, so it's either going to be the Icon, the Pace, or in some cases the DTH.
And are they going to be doing tubes or tubeless today?
Definitely tubes, high pressure. Want to keep that tire on the rim if you get a little sketchy on the landing.
Well, let's keep the rubber side down.
That's it. Big thanks to Maxxis for making this possible out here. All of our supporters is how we keep it rolling here in the Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Championship. And Torquato Testa looking to keep things rolling. The Italian rider with a tough season last year, but he really started to improve toward the end. Starting things off with a backflip, no-footed can-can.
That's one of my favorites right there. Really unique Torquato, the backflip, no-foot can-can, huge double flip. That's what we just saw Jakob go down on.
Oh, no!
Going for the overspin cash roll on the hip, just coming up a little bit short, thrown all the way down to that flat bottom. These landings are so much taller than they look. It's hard to put into perspective.
The fourth rider in a row going down. What is going on here today? I mean, we have great conditions. Course is running good. The wind is low. I think it's just a matter of them knowing how high the level is and just trying to send it that much harder. Let's take a look back at what went wrong here. He was spotless on the double flip, but on this cash roll, looks like he may have come up a little bit short.
Oh, it was coming around so perfect, just about 12 inches short. And that's what I'm talking about, thrown all the way to the flat bottom. That's right where you don't want to end up. These guys wearing full face helmets, trying to keep themselves safe.
So a lot on the line here for Torquato Testa, the guy who had the silver medal here in Rotorua in 2017. He didn't have a great result at Rotorua last year, so he missed the 2 European stops. Came back, got a 7th at Joyride. But in order to get those points, same for these last 4 riders. This is the start of our order. These aren't necessarily very protected riders. They need to stomp their second run, putting all the pressure on. But great to see the smile on this next rider's face, Max Fredrickson. He was one of the front runners we were expecting to see last season, but he broke his humerus. Finally, all year he's been training, he's back.
So excited to see him back in the gate. He's been working so hard. That was a textbook 360 tuck no-hander on the first drop there. Tail up on the shark fin. Backflip bar spin and tuck no-hander, landing so clean. He is a bit of a veteran out here. We just haven't seen him the past couple seasons due to injury. Making everything look so easy so far. Double tail whip onto the on-off. Truck driver down.
Oh, it's on here for Max Fredrickson.
Here he comes. So great to see him back on track, coming in the last jump.
What's he got? 360 double tail whip, and he goes down.
Oh, he went down hard.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what? He's throwing those arms in the air because he's happy they're still both in one piece.
Everything was looking so good. You know that crash from last year has to be playing in the back of his mind.
And it was on that same exact jump. So sometimes you need a little crash to just get the blood flowing and feel that confidence. You need to feel invincible if you're out here doing this competition.
Exactly. Sometimes crashing and not getting hurt is the best thing you can do after having a season plagued by injury. Just to know that you don't need to be scared. And he wasn't looking scared throughout this whole run. 360 triple bar spins, the double tail whip onto the on-off. That's the biggest trick we've seen on so far. Technical move, because you got to get your pedals before going off. He's got to get his feet set, pinch his seat, spin off that thing, do a truck driver, and then this right here is where it went wrong. 360 double tail whip. Everything was looking okay. Slight under rotation and a bit short on the speed there.
Well, now he knows what to fix there. He needs to come into that jump a little bit faster. He needs to rotate a little bit faster, but all smiles for Max Fredrickson. Great to know that we'll see him back up there for a second run. This guy, he is very open about how hard he works. He shares it all on social media. He goes to the gym 6 times a week, takes 1 rest day. So 5th place for Max Fredrickson right now. So many runs in a row ending in crashes. Let's take a look at where we sit so far. Alex Elanco dodging so many bullets, holding down the fort, that 80.75. Now, you see Thomas Stead in 3rd and Lukas Hooper in 2nd. They're sitting in podium position on their first Crankworx appearances. Super impressive. One rider that we were expecting to see on this list right here was Matt Jones. A lot of riders are secretive about how they prepare, so we strapped a secret camera to Sherlock Jones. Take a look.
What's up, guys? Welcome to Crankworx Rotorua. I'm Matt Jones. So throughout the session today, we've been kind of interviewed and asked a few questions, but no one's given the real answers. No one's given the real truth. So I'm going to sneak behind the tape and find out what's really going on here. Oh look, there's Tommy G. Okay, recording. Quick clap. Tommy G, how you feeling, mate? What tyre pressures do you run in those?
Like 5 bar.
Really? That's insane. Yo, Nikolai, how you doing?
Good, you?
Yeah, sick. What did Emil do?
Oh
No way.
God, that's hype.
I just seen a little iPhone video of a 3 down. That's insane.
You're filming everything.
Oh no, not now. I have to do like a behind the scenes thing in a bit.
Why is it taped over our video?
Huh?
The GoPro.
It's Red Bull's GoPro, I'm not sure. I got a video of your crash.
Oh yeah?
You landed completely on the back of your head.
Yeah.
I'll send you the video, yeah.
You $10.
You want $10 for a crash video? I can make more than that. Whose pads do you think smell the worst this year? It's always someone new every year.
I had really bad ones, but I have new ones now, so.
Yeah, I remember in the past yours were pretty bad. Flip Superman seat grab?
Yeah.
And you've never done one before?
Like on the resi.
No way. Yes, dude, that's so sick.
So soaked.
Oh man, that's unreal. Who do you think's won practice today?
Emil?
Oh, here he comes. Talk with the guy. Wow. So there you have it. That's what's really been going on behind the tape. I've been Sherlock Jones. I'll see you soon. Or will I?
I am down with this, Tyler. What better way to get the inside scoop than a double agent? We got to keep this rolling. Of course, we hope to see him at the top of the course instead of just alongside. But this guy, we expected to potentially see him trackside today. He had a huge crash in practice. We thought maybe he wasn't gonna be able to compete today, but he's so tough. The reason why all eyes are peeled for him is because of what he did last year. Let's take a look back at March 2018, where Diego Cavarzasi was still a guy who hadn't had a Crankworx Slopestyle podium. That changed real quick when he decided to do this front cork 1080, a trick that Nicoli Rogatkin brought to mountain biking, nicknamed it the Twister, and Diego Cavarzasi landed his first one to dirt in his contest run. Of course, Nicoli Rogatkin enjoyed helping him celebrate that moment, but this guy is a warrior here. 2 third places last year, a big crash yesterday, but he's on course now.
Riding with that separated shoulder. It looks like he might just be taking it easy here. He wasn't sure if he'd be able to ride this morning, as we said. Maybe that shoulder pain is just too bad to hold on and do what he's hoping to do. You can tell he's stiff. He's just trying to get down this course now. So unfortunate. We were expecting him to see him on the podium again this year.
Anybody who's ever separated their shoulder, torn that acromioclavicular ligament in the shoulder, knows that it's really hard to pull back on those handlebars for a long time. Now, bear in mind, he just crashed yesterday, so the fact that he's even taking a run right now is pretty remarkable. He was the 6th place finisher in the world overall last year, so hopefully he'll have enough time to get healed up for Innsbruck. If you're just tuning in right now to the McGazza Slopestyle in memory of McGazza, your current leader is a fresh face. We saw him burst onto the scene at stop number 2 last year. He got a 14th place, but today he's the man to beat, Alex Elanco, using regular cork 720s on the right-hand hip, meaning he had to rotate more than 720 degrees.
Typical Swedish style, doing everything perfectly effortless. He's got to be pretty happy with where he's sitting right now, Cam. Only our first 3 riders that we saw drop today have gotten down the course successfully. But Elanco was able to top the other 2. Regulars, opposites, everything went to plan. Even though he was surprised about it, that was the run he was looking for.
So, we got a new rider up in the gate right now who can potentially knock Alex Elanco out of that spot. This is a very familiar face if you love slopestyle mountain biking. The last European to win a Crankworx Slopestyle stop back in 2012. He was 5th overall last year. He had a 2nd right here in Rotorua just a year ago and a 5th at Joyride.
One of the most enjoyable riders to watch, bringing so much style to this sport. Doing things in a unique way. Here he comes, Thomas Genon. That was an...
Oh boy! Oh man, oh no. Oh boy, Thomas Thomas Genon going down off of the first feature there, doing that opposite 360 tuck no-hander.
He's starting off with a very technical trick. Not only is it a 360 tuck no-hander, it was his unnatural direction.
You know, we saw him use that trick last year in a different feature. Did it off of the on-off box. But always a master of strategy, knowing that moving tricks around at different features from year to year is always rewarded by the judges. So tough to see Thomas Genon take that big crash right now. And it's also tough for the riders left in the start gate to watch one of their friends go down.
So unfortunate to see Tommy go down like that. You don't see this guy crash very often. He's so dialed, but that's just how much these riders are putting it on the line this year for the 2019 season.
It's a case of an over-rotation right there. You imagine it's hard to figure out how hard to pull to rotate on a step down, especially if it's your opposite direction. Now Michaela is standing by with a rider who knows exactly what it's like to ride with an injury. Let's send it down to Michaela.
Thanks, Cam. Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of the riders go down today, but a guy who is no stranger to injury, Diego. Tell me a little bit about how do you mentally prepare yourself, even if you're injured, for competition?
Well, this morning I had this problem with the other guys, just with myself, because I had to decide if let someone else riding or ride to gain some points. In the end, everyone has his own opportunity. So I was happy with just going down with a straight run and take my points. And yeah, that was the only problem this morning. Then, you know, you feel pain, but I tried and I could hold the bar, so it was fine for me.
Man, you're tough. Well, it's good to see you complete your run. I would say injury-free, but no extra injuries today.
No, luckily not. I hope no one else is going to injury because we had a tough week.
Yeah.
I hope everything's going fine now.
Well, let's see how the rest of the guys go, and we'll see you again in round 2.
Maybe no.
Maybe not.
All right, thanks, Michaela. Yeah, pushing this sport is a big responsibility that all of these riders take a lot of pride in, but it's never easy when you're trying to start a new season and kind of push the sport to next levels after a season that was a defining season in 2018, seeing things we've never seen before at every single stop.
It's easy to think of these riders as superhuman, especially riders like Thomas Genon. All these guys, we see them landing their tricks so dialed in the off season. They work so hard, but the matter of the fact is they are human. They can make mistakes, and it does happen. Injury is a huge part of this sport. How you come back from it is what makes these riders very unique.
And Thomas Genon has come back from injury in the past. We've seen him do it. We mentioned earlier that he won Slopestyle in Whistler in 2012, so he's been on top and he's been on the ground. He always comes back. Take a look. Oh.
So that was an opposite 360 tuck no-hander, as we said. It looked like he was bobbling to get his hand on the handlebar a little bit there, and what he needed to do was get that hand on so he could slow the rotation down. So that's like one of the most hopeless feelings ever, when you can't get your hand on, even though you need it on to slow the rotation down, dump the bars out, slow the spin.
Well, next rider in the gate, good friend of Thomas Genon, who we just saw go down. This is Thomas Lemoyne. Now, if you've been following all of the other competitions here at the first stop of the Crankworx World Tour, well, he very well just may be your new favorite rider. He's been on the scene for a long time, yet he's still only 22. He started with speed and style this week. He had a bit of an issue there, but nothing he couldn't deal with. Speed and style, 360 double bar spin going up against Martin Soderstrom, a little bit of an over rotation. Tire blows out, and of course, no points for the overall King of Crankworx hunt for Thomas Lemoyne in speed and style, because in his second run, he fell down again. But you know what? He shook it off real quick. Very next day, turned it all around by battling it out through all the brackets in the pump track race. He faced off against Keegan Wright in the finals, a rider who's won it before. But Lemoyne winning another pump track challenge and getting some of those valuable points for the overall King of Crankworx title. But he can also earn a ton of points here in slopestyle. one of the most difficult events here at Crankworx. He's on course.
Now this is the one that he trains the hardest for. The one that he wants to win the most is the slopestyle. He's yet to do it. So much style coming out of this guy. Backflip tail up. Now when we talk about riders not taking the pedals in between the features, look at Thomas Lemoyne, 360 tuck no-hander to bar spin there. He hasn't taken a single pedal yet this whole time. Opposite 360 tuck no-hander, so he's got a regular, he's got an opposite, front flip on, 360 X up down. Everything has been so effortless out of this guy.
Finally a huge run here for Thomas Lemoyne. Can he cap it off? Front flip, inverted table, and he lands it. Yeah!
That's got to feel good. He's had a long week out here. He bit off a lot doing speed and style. He was last year's overall world champion, not able to get a result there. Winning the pump track, putting that all behind him. That was just last night. This kid's got to be tired after that. And then he comes down to put together a bit of his dream run here.
You saw Nicoli Rogatkin at the top of the course here. Nicoli is a rider who really feeds off of the vibe. So you know he loves seeing Lemoyne stomp that run there. That's going to elevate the entire competition here after having so many riders crash.
360 tail up out of that start step down right after he sees his good friend Thomas Genon go down hard on that. So you know that was playing with his head a little bit. But now, this guy is just so focused in any event that he does.
You mentioned how he's not pedaling. The judges love that because that just screams efficiency. Putting your tires to the top of the landing, meaning that you're carrying all that speed. Look at this, 360 on the long and low and then finishing it with this, Tyler.
Did you notice how far he transferred on this last jump? I don't know if that was in an attempt to try to get extra distance out of that gap, but kind of made for a unique way of doing that.
Well, he used every square inch of that landing. And a new trick for him this season, we saw him doing that in practice, putting some style on that front flip. Nicoli loving it. So what will the score be? Alex Elanco is in the lead right now, but Thomas Lemoyne just knocked him off of that hot seat. An 87 for Thomas Lemoyne. Let's send it down to Michaela.
All right. We're just here with Thomas now. You just got put into the first place position. Was that a new trick for you on this course today?
It's kind of a new trick, like from last year, end of year. It was pretty sketchy, so I might try to make it better next time.
And your strategy for the first run versus second run, is it the same kind of tricks that you have planned, or you got a little bit more in the bag for round two?
I was gonna do more on the first run, and so my friend crashed just in front of me. Made me like, I just thought I'd just do a more chiller run, and I try to improve now.
So it's safe to say you've got more in the bag for round two?
I try to have more in the bag.
We're excited to see what you got. Congrats on moving into the first spot.
Thanks, Michaela. That's the name of the game with slopestyle, is you have your first run planned, but things can change when you see what the other riders are doing. And one thing that can always change your mood and the vibe is seeing a close friend take a crash. So really impressive to see Thomas Lemoyne put that aside and stomp that run. But look who we have at the top of the course. A rider who burst on the scene last year. His first season, it was just a perfect climb, stair-stepping his way onto the podium, 11th to 5th to 3rd, and then carrying that consistency, a 3rd at Joyride. Now this rider earning new sponsors and learning new tricks. Let's see, the last 2 events he's been on the podium. Can he do it again here?
Last year's rookie, he had nothing to lose last year. Now he's got all these big sponsors, lots of pressure. He's been looking great in practice, starting off the same thing as Lemoyne with the 360 tail whip, double truck driver on the shark fin. Backflip super seater. Now we saw him doing this link in practice. We'll see if he gets it.
Yeah!
Into a 360 seat grab Indian air. That's a really creative link. Judges are gonna like that. 360 bar spin with a slow bar spin there. Wow, able to hold on to that 360 opposite downside tail whip. Double truck driver down. Fedko's onto another good one right here. Huge flat spin.
Fedko rolling out, but not as clean as he would have wished. But with so many riders taking a crash, you gotta believe this run from Erik Fedko, even though it wasn't spotless, this absolutely has potential to shake things up on our leaderboard.
Man, he was onto a heater there. Everything was looking perfect until that last jump, but luckily he was able to roll out of it. Normally, that wouldn't get you on the podium, but with the way things are going today, he might find himself in a good spot.
Talk to me about his approach, his riding style. When I watch him ride, I feel like he has the ability to both be aggressive and calm at the same time.
unique tricks like that backflip Superman seat grab and the 360 seat grab Indian air. This right here almost went wrong for him, getting hung up on the rear tire on that 360 downside tail whip. This was where he almost threw it away. The truck driver to tail whip, barely getting his leg to stop that bike from keeping going around a second at a time.
You hear these riders talk about what they have in their mind, and Erik Fedko so committed to executing that. Even though he was having slight bobbles, he still had his eye on the prize. He was going to try all those ideal tricks the whole way down. The score coming in, a 74. Fedko sitting in familiar territory there. He finished last season with 2 third places. He's sitting in 3rd place right now. And it just goes to show right now, you can have a bobble and still get into the top spot, because we've seen so many riders go down.
But if he cleans that up, you got to believe that could be capable of rivaling Lemoyne's top score. But look who we have in the gate right now. Always a pleasure to see this guy ride a slopestyle course.
All right, I just officially got butterflies because Brett Reeder is in the start gate. Brett Reeder won here last year for the 2nd time. In Innsbruck, he had 2nd, Leger 2nd, Whistler 2nd, and this is the guy who despises seeing that number 2 next to his name. He cares about one thing and one thing only: to win slopestyle competitions.
I compete in Crankworx because when I do slopestyle runs in front of the camera, in front of the crowd, I'm pushing my limits, and that's what I truly love to do. I go outside my comfort zone, and when I do it and it's successful, it's the best feeling that I can find in life, and that's why I compete in Crankworx Slopestyles.
Well, Brett Reeder, a guy who's won Joyride before. He's won here twice. He won the overall Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Championship last year, looking to start his 2019 season right. Oh!
That's a new one. Opposite Cork 720 right out of the gate into a regular Cork 720 on that shark fin. Cannot explain how technical that is. 360 double tail whip. We don't see him do that trick too often. Opposite double tail whip. This run is being a typical Brett Reeder tongue twister for me to call. 360 double bar spin. Opposite 360, opposite bar spin. Flat backflip tail whip into a front flip. 1 foot of can.
Humongous. Brett Reeder, final jump. Cork 720 bar spin, and he lands it.
Wow. Brett Reeder always on the quest for perfection, not holding back at all in that run. You can make a highlight reel out of every single feature on that course.
That was trademark Brett Reeder right there.
Nicoli is blown away.
Oh, we are off to another ridiculous season, I can tell already. Oh, wow. Okay, well, we have to try to digest this run. Let's start with the way he capped it off. Let's look at the final jump. The McGazza money booter. Here it is. We've seen this trick from him before.
Cork 720 bar spin. There was 3 Cork 720s in there. One of them opposite, one of them regular, one of them with a bar spin.
There's nothing straightforward about any of the Cork 7s he did. The one regular he did it on the shark fin, which is almost unthinkable on that feature. So let's go back and look at how he started this run. Similar trick, opposite direction on a way more difficult feature. Let's take a look.
Now, if you know Brett Reeder, he's left foot forward. Spinning to the left is his unnatural direction, but you wouldn't be able to tell at how perfect that was. And then right there, in case you were wondering which way is his natural direction, he shows it to you right there on a really unique feature too.
Double tail was a big trick, but how about the way he's doing it?
Opposite double tail, kicking with his front foot, spinning his unnatural direction into the cannon with a 360 double bar spin. The funny thing is that was the most tame trick of his whole run, and that's not a tame trick at all. That right there was a new one for him last season. We saw him struggle with it twice at 2 of the stops. Now on one of the biggest, scariest, steepest drops, you can hear him and how stoked he was to see that that worked out. Was wondering if he had the speed for this last jump here, able to squeak it around and ride it out.
Every single jump counts, and he did an absolute bang on every single jump. What will the score be? Will it be enough? Here we go. Brett Reeder goes into the lead with a 93.75. Let's send it down to Michaela Gatto.
So you won here last year. You just moved into the lead now with a strong score. What I want to know is, you look so composed when you're executing these insane tricks. How do you do it?
I don't really know. a lot of practice, and yeah, just keeping cool and making sure that the practice sessions are good, and luckily the weather's been really good for us, and it worked out pretty good. I mean, minus that last slip up there, but hey, if I got to do another run, I'm ready to do it.
All right, well, we're excited to see you next round.
Thank you.
Thank you, Michaela. That's an understatement. Well, what made the 2018 season the best season in the history of slopestyle? It was the battle between two riders, Brett Reeder and the man we have at the starting line underneath the Wahara right now, Nicoli Rogatkin, the man who won the Triple Crown last season. Only event he didn't win was this one.
Not one to let his competitors discourage him. He uses their fire to light him up. Here he comes with the cork 720 on the start drop.
Can he carry the speed?
Double tail up on the shark fin.
Back on track.
Twister on the super booter. That's a 1080, 3 rotations into a cash roll. Underspin on that hip there. 360 tail up on the cannon. Everything's looking really good here. Superman seat grab up. What does he have off? Tail whip. Now into the long and low.
Oh, he's gonna need something humongous on this last jump. Oh, goes for the cash roll. Tail whip. Almost rides out Fakey. Jeez.
Typical Nicoli Rogatkin run right there. So many spins, so many tail whips. Such a fun guy to watch ride his bike. He knew he had to pull out all the stops after watching Brett Reeder's last run.
History has a tendency to repeat itself, and Nicoli Rogatkin right now finding himself in familiar territory, not landing his first run, with Brett Reeder sitting at the top of the leaderboard. Let's take a look back.
So I believe that was his 1080 twister right there, linked into that cash roll. 360 tail whip on the cannon log.
Now, I really want to focus in on the second to last feature. If he came up short at all, that may be why he had a hard time getting the pop for that cash roll tail up on the last feature. He had that front flip tuck no-hander on that jump that is 6 Hobbits, 4 Kiwis, and 1 cricket bat long. Here we go.
Now here's the replay. He was going for a cash roll tail whip, coming up short.
Oh my!
He legitimately almost rolled out of that fakie.
Now, it just goes to show the cat-like reflexes of Nicoli Rogatkin. Most riders, if they came up 180 degrees short, it would result in a huge crash, but Nicoli somehow just rolling out.
He had to have known he was coming up short, but he wasn't going to hold back. He knew the trick he wanted to do.
Well, you heard him say that. He said, I was coming in so short, so slow to that last jump, but he still went for that trick. A trick we've only seen him land once in competition. It was 2 years ago in Innsbruck. But take a look at this leaderboard. Erik Fedko, 4th place right now. He wants to get back on the podium after getting 2 third places to finish off the season last year. Alex Elanco currently holding on to that 2nd place, but Brett Reeder at the top of the leaderboard, exactly where he wants to be. He won last year. Can he make it 2 years in a row? Can he make it the 3rd year he's won this competition? This is the Maxxis Slopestyle in memory of McGazza. You're not going to want to miss the runs coming up. Don't go away. So after run 1 in the books here at our first stop of the 2019 season, a bit of a surprise, or no way to sugarcoat it. Barely anybody landed a run, so much so that a crash from Nicoli Rogatkin still gave him good enough for 6th place. Now, Darren, you're always a straight shooter. Tell it like it is. I'm curious, why do you think so many riders are crashing here to kick off the 2019 season?
You know what, that's a good question, just because as you've seen, there's so many athletes that are just giving it their all, and a lot of guys are going down, which is pretty insane, because my theory is the fact that everyone's going so hard today. You know, the level of everyone's riding is just so high that everyone's just on the edge.
Now, Tyler, do you think it's because last season was such one for the history books where we broke down so many barriers? Do you think all the riders are watching the footage from last year thinking, oh my gosh, I have to do better than I ever thought I might have to in this sport?
I think it's that mixed with the preseason jitters of 7 months of no competitions, just waiting for this and thinking about it. They know this course. It's been the same course, similar course for a few years. So they're just thinking about every jump, every night before they go to bed, every time they're practicing. and it's easy to let that get in your head and let it take over.
When a lot of riders crash, it really opens up the door for those riders who are able to put it together. The two riders who were able to put down the best two runs so far, of course, Thomas Lemoine and Brett Reeder. We're going to watch them side by side right now. We've got the score differences, 93.75 Brett Reeder, 87 for Thomas Lemoine. So there we go, a 360 double tail whip for Brett Reeder and a backflip tail whip for Lemoine. So Lemoine, great execution here, but Brett Reeder just packing more in, would you say?
Absolutely. He's got just banger tricks on every jump, where Thomas has a little bit more on the steezy level, going for the style points rather than banging in multiple combos.
Yeah, Lemoine's approach was more the effortless, smooth, no pedals, clean, and then Reeder was just pull out all the stops. I'm going to win or I'm not going to make it down this course.
Absolutely.
So Lemoine's approach is always just stick to your guns, do the tricks you know, make them look good. And I feel like Brett's kind of the only one who's able to really pull off his approach, the approach that he pretty much pioneered, which is a crazy banger on every single jump. If you had to pick one rider who's going with that Brett Reeder approach, who has a chance to be able to stomp their run in number 2, who do you think that would be?
You know, I'd say Elanco.
Seriously, we wouldn't have said that.
That guy's coming out hot. You know, he's stomping. He goes and throws his Oppo Cork 7 up a high up in the course. That was insane.
Well, big responsibility for these judges to figure out how to score these established veterans against these fresh faces like Alex Elanco. So let's get inside the judge's head. Let's send it over to Michaela Gatto.
Thanks, Cam. Yeah, I'm up here in maybe the hardest job talking to Chopper. A lot of bobbles today. If we looked at Lemoine and Reeder's run, they both didn't completely stick their last landing. How do you judge a trick if it's not completely executed perfectly?
I think you've almost got to ignore that fact, because both of their runs are very different. I mean, Reeder's runs, he focuses on every aspect of judging, which is height, difficulty, technicality. Obviously, that's what he's known for. And Lemoine is more smooth, consistent, flowy, goes big, good variety as well. But Reeder is almost like the ultimate package. So we don't ignore the bobbles. We just compare the rest of the run, which will give us our overall result. So if Reeder would have put both feet down, like you saw, I think it was in Innsbruck and Rogatkin's run, that's what made Rogatkin win, was simply because he put both of his feet down. But in this case, it was just a slight drag. It was nothing too drastic. It was something which wouldn't really have made a great difference with his run, but we had to still deduct points. So he could have had a 98 because his run was phenomenal.
Right.
Yeah.
So when you see little things like this minor under rotation and the foot just barely coming off, these are things that can differentiate between first and second on a day when everybody is stomping. But on a day when everybody's having so much trouble, it's almost easier to overlook these types of things. So many riders crashing, and when you see a rider crash, it's easy to understand why they didn't get a good score or why they're absent from the season. But last year, here we go, here's some crashes, double backflips, crashes from Jakob Wenzel, casserole crashes. This was one of the worst ones we saw. Lukas Knopf also going down on that double backflip. But you understand, if you see a rider crash and they're absent from the start list, you go, well, that makes sense, you gotta heal up. But one rider that was absent from the start list all season last year, he had a scratch in our heads, Emilio Hansen. We're finally starting to pull back the curtain, figure out what was going on with him last season. He was the world champion in 2017. We really thought he had what it take to mix it up, but he was gone. Here's why, take a look.
Emilio Hansen, the future is now.
I bet he'll be the next unstoppable dude in the circuit.
Yeah.
Leading the FMBA World Tour, he's at the biggest event of the year, and it doesn't seem to faze him.
He was the champion. He had to confess that he's not able to follow this career anymore.
My world got so flipped upside down, upside down, upside down, upside down. This is something that reached way beyond just my back.
The whole system breaks down. And severe problems coming up.
There were no explanation. I just felt shittier and shittier.
maybe we can do something others than biking.
One of the most exciting riders we've ever had in slopestyle. He came back at Joyride, got a 4th place. He still wasn't 100%. We saw him blowing minds in practice. Unfortunately, a crash yesterday. Didn't see him today.
Luckily for him, he is still young. This is not the last of Emil that we'll be seeing. He's got plenty of years, so he's going to go home, heal up, and we will see him back. And anytime you get to see that kid ride a course, it's going to be a great day. So that just brings more anticipation for the next stop, Innsbruck.
Well, speaking of anticipation, with so many crashes in run number 1, it really leaves the door open for somebody to make a huge splash in run number 2. We got all 14 riders back up to the top of the course. Current leader right now, Brett Reeder, the target on his back. He's won here twice before. But some riders like Jakob Wenzel, Torquato Testa, going to be aiming their sights at Brett Reeder. And of course, the man himself, Nicoli Rogatkin. Can he do it again and spoil Brett Reeder's plans? We are about to find out. The Maxxis Slopestyle in memory of McGazza. Second run's coming up. You stay put right where you are because you're not going to want to miss this. Brett Reeder in the lead right now, but Torquato Testa in the gate, looking to make up a lot of ground after that crash in run number 1.
He had a very hard crash, so we're just happy to see him up here in the gate again. Now, if you don't remember, he had a slight under rotation on a cash roll on the hip. That's my favorite thing that he does right there. Flip no foot can off the step down. Such a technical trick to do off a step down feature. Backflip tuck no hander. There he is with his double flip. He's got those so locked in. Here's where he screwed up last time. Switching his trick up, smart move. Tuck no hander to bar spin. Double tail up on the cannon. That's a big move there. So now we're going to see what he had planned for the rest of his first run. Truck driver up, backflip on the flat takeoff of that drop there. Into a front flip on the long and low, perfectly clean.
He's got speed. What's it going to be? A cork 720 to finish things off. That's what kind of day this is going to be right here. This is going to be a strategy day. Torquato Testa realizing that maybe he rolled the dice a little bit too much on the cash roll in run number 1, decided to pull it back, go for another unique trick, just get the combos. Combos score a lot. You said this is your favorite part.
That was a veteran move right there. Not letting that crash phase him. You know he hit the ground hard. He's got to be in pain right now. Knowing to just scrap that trick. You know he wanted that cash roll on that jump, but he wanted to play it smart, get a run. He sees that the other riders aren't making it down, so maybe a slightly less technical combo would be smart to get him down this course. And that right there, double tail up on the cannon, that's a big move.
Now you really have to be paying attention to what's going on around you. It's like rolling into a party and reading the room. Torquato Testa read the room and saw that not very many people were putting top to bottom runs together. You don't need that banger on every single hit to be able to slide into the top 5 right now.
That was a really smooth run. Great execution on everything.
Torquato Testa feeling good as he awaits his score. Let's send it down to Michaela Gatto.
Okay, so you made a little bit of a readjustment there on the hip and came away with a clean run. What did you do to recalibrate?
I don't know, I just thought that was safer because I take a kind of hard slam on my head on that crash, so I couldn't see really good, and I just think that was like a intelligent
move.
Yeah,
well, I think it was an intelligent move too. Yeah. We'll just see what the judges think.
I don't know. We'll see.
We're about to find out.
Yeah.
So Torquato Testa about to find out if it was an intelligent move. He moves up. He gets a 78 right now. We're going to find out where that puts him on the leaderboard. Torquato Testa into 4th place.
Okay, that's good.
And he instantly reacts. He says that's good. So 78 for that run right there from Torquato Testa. Obviously would have scored higher if he kept that cash roll in, but a crash was not a good idea. So, oh my gosh, he switched his shirt. This is just going to show how much he loves heavy metal music. Different, it's like switching songs on your iPod right here. He switches shirts for second run.
Jakob's been looking exceptionally good in practice. We saw him under-rotate that double flip on the super booter. Okay. Now we're really curious to see what he has planned for run number 2.
Jakob Vinsol dropping in, looking to make Lemmy proud.
360 tuck no hander on the start step down. a backflip tuck no-hander, starting things off just the way he did in run number 1. Double backflip, got a little bit more rotation out of that one, perfectly clean.
There we go, Jakob Wenzel on a heater right now.
Perfectly spun, 720 front flip on the cannon. 360 bar spin up, backflip down.
Oh, so barely short.
There's no room for air on that drop. It's got such a sharp deck on the knuckle, such a steep landing, and then that severe flat bottom. If you screw up, you get tossed all the way down from the top to the bottom.
Oh, such a shame. He was so incredibly flawless leading up until that point. Of course, his first run fell apart after crashing the double flip. He changed his shirt. He's gonna have to find another band to clean off the dirt from this Motorhead shirt now. Unfortunately, we only get 2 runs here in Crankworx Slopestyle competition. We're not gonna see another band. We're not gonna see another run. Let's take a look back at what went wrong. He was coming off of the on-off box doing a flat drop backflip. And we always give a lot of points for this because stop the footage right there. You can see right here, there is no lip here. On the start feature, there's a takeoff. That's how they start the rotation. So he's got to put all of his body weight behind that back tire. But take a look at his eyes. We're gonna stop it again here in a second. All right, so he's still staring back here. He can't see the landing yet. Roll the footage. He doesn't know he's gonna be short until this moment right now. And stop again, see? Front tire, perfectly over, but he needs to be a full bike length ahead. Now this is just a millimeter short here. It stops all of his own momentum. Watch his arms just buckle. All the pressure, this hand falling off of the handlebar. He may have been able to push through that if the hand didn't fall off, but the hand leads this crash, the foot follows suit, and the rest of the body putting an end to this run right here for Jakob Wenzel. There it is in real time right here. Oh. Nothing more heavy metal than popping up quick after a crash. Tough riders out here. Jakob Wenzel, a 39, so bettering his first run score, but a crash in both runs, not going to be his day. He had such a great season last year, 10th overall on the season, 6th at Joyride. We're hoping he's gonna be able to maintain those points, and hopefully we'll see him in Austria. So more of the same here at the McGazza Slopestyle in memory of McGazza. Riders going down, but one rider we really want to see put together a top to bottom run right here. A mainstay on the tour all the way back since 2011, and here's what happened to him in run number 1.
One of the most exciting people to watch ride a slope course, always a crowd favorite, ever since his rookie performance at age 15, continually getting better and better. Run number 1 was looking great, typical Anthony Mazzari fashion. Big double tail whips, front flips on the cannon. He has those on such lock.
I mean, we're excited because we want this kid to stomp a run so bad. We know what he's capable of, and he was looking so smooth, but right here, it all fell apart.
Oh, that must have been a terrifying feeling. Just getting mixed up in the bar spin there on that truck driver up onto the on-off.
And the crazy thing is, he'd already done so many difficult tricks so far. This could have been considered one of the easier moves in his run.
He undoubtedly had something huge planned for the last jump and possibly let his guard down thinking about the last jump.
Well, it's all about the hands here, finding those bars. Jakob Vinsol blowing the hand off, flipping that flat drop. Anthony Mazzari drying off his grips right now to make sure that he's able to keep the hands on the bars in this second of 2 runs here. Final opportunity.
Anthony Mazzari starting things off with a huge, perfectly clean 360 tail up again. Backflip 1-foot can on the shark fin.
Oh,
backflip bar spin, able to recover. Double tail whip, come on Anthony. Able to keep focused. He's got to get that out of his mind now. Continue as if nothing happened. Truck driver on. That's where he screwed up last run. Tail whip on the drop. We've only seen Nicoli do that so far. Front flip on the long and low.
Can he make it top to bottom here to kick off the season?
Backflip, double tail whip.
Yes. Oh, we are so excited to see that. We are rooting for this kid so much. And on a day like today, the tough rise to the surface. Anthony Missouri fighting through a tough first run and stomping. My favorite part about this run is that it wasn't perfect all the way through. He had to just maintain his focus, shrug off these little minor mistakes, because on a day like today, that really is what makes the difference.
My other favorite part is, I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little bit of rain falling from the sky. So you know that was playing in his head.
Oh, that was crazy.
But he didn't let it affect him. Anthony is a veteran on this tour now. So fun to watch ride. My favorite trick that he does is that backflip double tail. Just the way that he does it, how straight over the back he is while he does it. And I don't think that could have been done any more clean.
Out of the little moments where he had to just maintain his focus and push through, somehow he finished this run with precision.
What a good recovery. You can see in that shot there's a little bit of rain falling from the sky. He's not wearing gloves.
Sometimes with a backflip double tail, you see a squirrely landing, them not landing perfectly straight. But take a look at this. His eyeballs on the pedals the whole time, getting that bike to spin around not once, but twice. And then look at this, straight line down that thing.
That was smoother than most people would straight air that jump.
All right, well, let's see where that puts Anthony Missouri.
I was like, do I do two? And then I kind of pulled a bit weird and I just span fast.
But I gotta see that hip jump again, where things almost fell apart. Let's take a look back here.
So that was the double tail whip. That was after he recovered on the jump before. I believe he was going for a backflip double bar spin. The camera angle we had looked like he might have gotten a little hung up on either the first or second bar spin, but then he just wiped that clean from his memory, continued on as if nothing happened. And that's what you have to do when you make a mistake like that.
Well, it's so impressive too, because you would think after how squirrely it was on the super booter, he would have just squeezed in a single tail up. But he somehow found the speed to not only get that double tail, but he did it at amplitude as well.
One of the most mentally strong riders out there, I would say. I had a talk with him last season, actually. He said he's been doing a lot of research on sports psychology. It seems to have helped him out a lot, because that was not an easy first run to come back from, especially after seeing all his competitors crash. Able to stay in the right mindset, continue through that bobble.
He's won Crankworx Slopestyle in the past. He was 8th overall last season. This kid is going nowhere. Judges deciding where he's going to go on the leaderboard right now. 360 tail up.
I forgot about that. Run. That was a big move as well.
Okay, we got to watch this jump right here, because this is where he could have thrown it away if he wasn't as mentally tough as he is.
Wow.
Landing in a manual.
Most people would just pull off track and give up right there.
Anthony Missouri, never one to give up, always pushing through. What will the score be? Will it be enough to move into top 3 position? Alex Elanco currently in 3rd with an 80.75. The judges doing their job, making sure they put him in the right spot.
Tail whip on that flat drop too. You don't see a lot of people doing that. Nicoli is the only one that we've seen do it today.
This is experience right here. He needs a 7th place or higher to secure his invitation to the next stop on the Crankworx FMBA Slopestyle World Championship Tour, and he's sitting in 5th place right now, a 76. Sliding in right behind Torquato Testa and ahead of Erik Fedko. That's got to feel good. And what has the makings of a feel-good story right here, the comeback of Max Fredrickson a year ago. He snapped his humerus in half. He crashed his first run, but was able to pop right back up. He needs a run here, Tyler.
This guy is capable of so much. And he was making the beginning of that run look so effortless, so stylish, and so clean. 360, missing the tuck no-hander there.
Oh no, come on, don't do that, Max. On a day like today, I'm sorry, you can't do that. Not on a day like today. When so many people are going down, you can miss the no-hander and keep going. All right, well, it's really tough to keep your points on this tour. And Max Fredrickson right now throwing in the towel on this run. He's not going to get those much needed points. We're gonna have to wait to see him till Austria. But without a result here, we're gonna have to do some number crunching and make sure we'll see him. Undoubtedly one of the front runners, a podium contender at any event. The story the last couple of years though is he just hasn't been to a lot of events based on injury. Working so hard to get back. just to throw it away after the first feature.
Not entirely sure what happened there. We know he missed his tuck no-hander, which is what he was looking for. Maybe his jersey got snagged on his seat. We don't want to speculate, but would have been great to see him get a run down this course and just maintain some points.
Find out, here we go, slow motion, 360, going for the no-hander, misses it, lands smooth, tire doesn't blow up. I think he just is such a perfectionist, he knows his dream run, and anything shy of that is not worth it for him. That's too bad. Max Fredrickson throwing in the towel. He'll have to settle for 12th at best here today. So, no shakeup to our leader, our top 4 right now. Torquato Testa, Alex Elanco, Thomas Lemoyne, but Brett Reeder hanging out where he feels most comfortable with a numero uno alongside his name. Many riders yet to come. Next, of course, from Germany, Lukas Knopf.
Another rider that we saw have a mistake in his first run. He had a great run going all the way down the course. One of the best I've seen out of him, but he just under-rotated that double backflip on the last jump.
So Lukas Knopf, will we see him try that double backflip again, or will he take a page out of Torquato Testa's book and amend his plan?
He started out with something really big here in run number 1. Oh. Wow. Run number 1, we saw the triple truck driver. That time we saw double truck driver, still a really big maneuver, able to recover. Backflip, tuck no-hander to bar spin. 360, tuck no-hander to bar spin. This run's going well so far. That was an opposite 360 on the cannon. These guys have such jitters just to make it down this course after seeing all their competitors crash. Truck driver off the flat drop.
Oh, no
huge
pedal.
front flip. That's where he came up short last time. Looking smooth now.
Does he have the speed? Oh, he changes his trick choice. A front flip tuck no-hander on the McGazza money booter.
Now that was another veteran move right there. He had struggle for the speed in the first run. You need a lot of speed for double backflip. Front flips you can kind of push through a little bit on, so.
Oh, man.
He was going for 3 there, you know it. He got a little fumbled up, but able to not let it get to him. Continue down the course. That was a good move for Lukas, just getting a run in. He still had some really big maneuvers in there, some opposite tricks, regular tricks. He should get a pretty good score for this. Relatively new to the scene of the Crankworx World Tour. The main goal for a guy like Lukas here is just getting points, maintaining his place on the tour.
He's looking to continue climbing that ladder. We talk about how this competition's all about the top 14 in the world. He was 13th in the overall last year. Now, he did get good pump. The funny thing is, he didn't land perfectly on his first run on the second to last feature. That's why he didn't have enough speed for the double flip. He did land perfectly on that jump here, so he could have had the speed for the double flip, but it's a really good choice to go for an easier trick based on how many people have been crashing here today. Get something in the bag, get those points if you're 13th overall. It's all about slowly moving up the rankings. And where will he find himself right now? Judges doing their job. Now, great extension on that front flip tuck no-hander as well.
That's a trick that he's really comfortable with. We've been seeing him do that for a long time. Double backflip, I don't know how many of those I've seen him do. We saw him doing it perfect in practice, but sometimes you just got to go back to what you're most comfortable with, especially when you kind of bobble your first run. You just got to get one down.
And especially when you finished 13th overall last year. There's plenty more events this season to bring out that double backflip. I'm sure we'll see that from him if he's able to get a good ranking here today and stay on tour. But it's all up to the judges right now. Current standings, Alex Elanco in third, Thomas Lemoyne in second, Brett Reeder holding down the fort at the top of the leaderboard. Lukas Knopf. The judges taking their time on this one.
It's great to see these riders getting their second runs down this course.
Yeah, it just took one run for these guys to get the jitters out. Top 5 so far for Lukas Knopf. Score of a 77.25. That means Anthony Missouri moves down to 6th, closer to that very important number, which is 7 when it comes to Anthony Missouri right now. To get the points to make it to Austria, he needs at least a 7 to guarantee it. But look at this. It's been a long time since we saw Tom Stead drop in at the beginning of the event here. He'll be up next, but Brett Reeder, how did he do it? Why is he at the top of this? Well, he started out with that opposite cork 720 on the very difficult feature, the step down, and then carried the momentum into another very difficult feature, a regular cork 720, the 360 double tail up. Take it, Tyler.
His run last year was such a dream run. I didn't know if he'd switch it up at all this year. I didn't know if he possibly could because it was so flawless last year, but he switched up so many things. 360 double tail up. I don't remember seeing him do that very often. He linked that into an opposite double tail up. That was an opposite truck driver up. This right here. I mean, come on. Nobody does that. Backflip tail up off a flat drop.
This
Landing
time last
so
year,
perfect.
that was still considered impossible. Now finishing the way we've seen him finish in the past, the regular direction, cork 720 bar spin, but he had that front flip, one-footed can on the setup jump, which is unique for him this year. I have a feeling that'll be something we'll see him incorporate into more competition runs right now.
Knowing Brett, I would imagine he's hoping that somebody tops that because he wants perfection. He wants to dial that in. Even though he's in first, he's not happy with that slight bobble. But Thomas Stead right here, this kid is capable of crazy things. We saw him at District Ride last year trying some crazy tricks. Never one to hold back. Here he comes, run number 2. Backflip tuck no-hander, great extension on that, not taking any pedals for the next feature. Backflip one-footed can, going a little bit deep there. Perfectly smooth backflip Superman. Things are looking great for Tom so far. Switching up his trick there into a purposely under-rotated cork 720 because that is a hip. 360 down whip onto the on-off now. So he moves some tricks around in this run. Very smooth barrel roll on that second to last jump. What's it gonna be? He rotated that so slow, it didn't look like it was gonna come around, but it did. I don't know what happened there. He just kind of crumpled on the landing. That was a really good run from Thomas Stead right there.
This is his debut performance, and we're seeing him with some promising moves out there, showing that he has the smarts of configuring a run relatively safer in run number 1, something he knew he could pull off, and then adding more spice to it in run number 2.
Great extension on that start feature there. Going big on that. We weren't sure if he'd have enough speed here. Backflip Superman, twisting that GT La Bamba into all sorts of shapes. Cork 720, so that right there, he moved some tricks around. That was a 3-down whip in run number 1. But he knew he had to up the ante. Important thing is he got a run down the course in run 1, so he was able to hang it out a bit more on this. That right there, he has some of they're almost decades the way he does them, just spinning around the bars there.
All right, take a look at his air awareness. I'm gonna ask you to pause now, please. All right, look at these eyeballs. He's staring right down at his landing, even though he's gonna have to shoot his head backwards shortly to do another flip. He's trying to gauge how much time he has. Roll the footage. Here we go. Then he throws the eyeballs into the back of his head, and when he spots his landing, he knows he should have tucked up into a little bit of a tighter ball. Just the body weight a little bit too far forward to absorb that landing. The arms not prepared for impact, and he's already reacting.
A lot of riders struggling for speed on that jump. He actually went a little bit deep. He's gonna be frustrated with himself. He's been doing that since day 1 of practice. He's got that trick on such lock.
After slow-mo replay, you realize that he had the rotation. It was just the timing of preparing for landing. It's almost like he figured he had it, and so he didn't extend his arms to be able to absorb that impact, but hopefully we see him back in stop number 2. But take a look at this guy right now, the guy who did the unthinkable last season. He won the Triple Crown. He had this to say about it. A lot of riders really figured this wasn't possible. It's been up for grabs for so many years and it still hadn't happened yet. So we all figured, it must be impossible. But there were 4 stops last year. He didn't win the first one, backing himself into a corner, meaning he had to win the final 3. He did just that. Can he win here today, Tyler?
Nicoli Rogatkin never goes for anything other than first. Cork 720, cleaning that up from run number 1.
Oh no! You never see Nicoli Rogatkin crash on a double tail whip. Wow. This is unthinkable.
Now that's a really big jump that he just got ejected off. Looked like he missed the kick on the double tail whip. He's always so committed to those, leaning so far forward. If you miss the kick on that, I think that's what may have happened. Oh, it's a terrible feeling when that happens halfway in the air on a jump that big.
Both of these riders are throwing down at, and
Oh, Nicoli Rogatkin. Obviously, we're hoping that he didn't get hurt on that crash. But if you know Nicoli, you know that there's probably more disappointment than anything, especially because that's a trick that he can do in his sleep. He does it in practice on that jump.
Now that's not a place we expected to see him make a mistake.
And that's not where we expected to see him on the leaderboard, outside the top 4. He's sitting in 9th right now. He's not going to improve. Brett Reeder right now, this is echoing what we saw last year. Brett Reeder at the top of that leaderboard.
Brett just dodged a huge bullet.
Now, as it pertains to the Triple Crown, there's only 3 events this year. So the winner of this event will be the only rider in the running for that Triple Crown. Back up to the start, Lukas Hooper, ready to drop in for his second Crankworx Slopestyle run.
Now I believe he's guaranteed a top 8 in this competition, which is pretty darn impressive for a Crankworx rookie. Let's see if he's gonna step it up at all. 360 bar spin to X up off the start step down, coming into the shark fin. Tail whip there. Backflip double tail whip.
No!
Trying to step it up, pull out something new. Just coming up a little bit short, but that's great to see a rookie like that get a clean one in first run and then know that he has more in the tank for run number 2. We haven't seen much of this guy on tour yet, showing lots of promise so far.
How you crash a backflip double tail up on the super booter here on this course and end up on your feet is beyond me, but obviously a testament to how much time this kid puts in practicing. He was the 2018 Rookie of the Year on the FMB World Tour, finally making it to the top tier events here on the Crankworx World Tour.
Now that 8th place, I would imagine, should keep him on tour for the next stop. So he's gonna walk out of this, well, he should at least be pretty content and happy with his performance. That's a great way to start off the season for Lukas Hooper.
Yeah, luckily for him, he had such a solid first run. I mean, when he kicked off this competition, I figured we were gonna see everybody land a run like we've seen in the past here, but not the case in 2019. Crazy event so far. Lukas Hooper hanging out in 8th place, but Brett Reeder still at the top of that leaderboard, dodging a huge bullet when we saw Nicoli Rogatkin crash before Le Moyne. This guy, 4th place overall last season, hanging out in 2nd right now. He would love to get back on to that podium. But Alex Elanco, you know how big of a story this would be if he's able to finish in 3rd place?
This guy right here is capable of huge things. He could really shake up this score. Had a great run going. Had a pretty big bobble on the last jump. That's why his score is where it is. But if he cleans that up, I think it could be potential for a front-running score.
Erik Fedko dropping in.
360 tail up again on that start feature, making that look so easy. Double truck driver on the shark fin there, getting a little bit offline. Holding it together, switching the trick there. That was a flip Superman C grab. He switched into a backflip double bar spin, still able to get that 360 in air. That was really impressive how he was able to switch the trick so fast.
Erik Fedko, the train comes off the tracks.
He had a similar mistake to that run number 1, but he was able to recover. That time, not able to get his right leg over the seat on that 360 downside tail whip up.
It really makes you wonder what he had planned for that final jump. Anytime you see a rider who stomped their first run making little adjustments in their second run, it hints at where they might move those tricks to further down the course. I was hoping to see that backflip Superman C grab on the last jump. Doing it for the crowd here. Oh, huge whipped out knack. So much style from this kid, and just the beginning of what is undoubtedly going to be a long and illustrious career. The young rider out of Germany, hanging out in 7th place right now. Let's enjoy this one that was just for the crowd.
So much style right there. Now when we watch slopestyle events, this one's been a bit unique with all the mistakes, all the crashes, and it's easy to think of these guys, as I said before, as superhuman, that they can't make mistakes. But these guys are proving that it is a very, very difficult sport. Things can go very, very wrong very quickly. You can get injured, or you can just simply make a small mistake and not make it down the course, like what happened to Erik Fedko right there. So many chances to screw up on a run on a course like this.
Alex Elanco in third place. We've got a lot we need to learn about this guy. Michaela, I know you've been doing some research.
Yeah, I was actually catching up with him a little earlier, and he didn't know he was in the competition for sure until a week before he was leaving. So he's really excited to be here, one of the main contenders. He's currently sitting in third. This could be a really big day for him.
Well, a week, perfect amount of time to hitch a ride from Sweden all the way down to the North Island of New Zealand. Alex Elanco, will he enter the history books here with a podium?
Sitting on the podium right now, so I'm curious to see if he's going to try to step things up or just be content with where he's at.
Well, I think he just answered that question for you.
You're right, it looks like he's going to have fun with this. We saw Erik Fedko do this a couple times last year, getting the run that was a bit of his dream run in run number 1, and then saying, you know what, I'm content with that. I'm going to take my result, get out of here safe, get out of here clean. I know I'm going to be on tour for the next stop, so I don't want to risk too much. Still going with the cork 720 on the last jump, though. This kid is looking incredibly dialed, showing lots of promise for the next 2 stops.
So Alex Elanco will find himself in a situation where he's got his best slopestyle result of his career, a podium at a Crankworx event, basically doing in 2019 what Erik Fedko did in 2018. At the beginning of this event, if you told me that Alex Elanco was going to get third place, I would first of all be surprised, second of all be happy for the kid. Bright future here. So many Swedish riders on the scene, a lot of them unfortunately out with injuries as of recently, so it's nice to see a new one pop on and slide right onto that podium. But at the beginning of this day, another question we would have had was, if this is going to be a 2-man race, is it going to be Brett Reeder and Nicoli Rogatkin? Most people would say yes. Surprising though, it's going to be between Thomas Lemoyne and Brett Reeder right now. Lemoyne, the last rider to drop, currently sitting in second place, only 1 spot left for him to move up. He has an 87 right now, but the score to beat is a 93.75.
He's 6 1/4 points behind, but his run number 1 was a safe run. He saw his good friend Thomas Genon go down. He wanted to play it safe, get down the course. So he's capable of such big things that he's still sitting in second place, even with his...
The bigger story for Thomas Lemoyne is if he's able to stay in second place, he'll take over the lead for the King of Crankworx right now. Now, King of Crankworx is all of the events, all the pump tracks, speed and style, downhill races. You can earn points from all of them, but big points up for grabs in the slopestyle right now. Thomas Lemoyne guaranteed at least a second place.
Will he go for the win? Does he know if he's capable of taking down Brett Reeder? Looks like he's going to go for it. Backflip double tail whip mid-set. Able to stay on line. If anyone's capable of generating speed, it's Thomas Lemoyne.
He didn't pedal even after that bobble, and he still cleared the jump with a trick. Oh boy. I thought he was going for that.
So much style out of this guy. He's not going to be able to take down the top spot, but Thomas Lemoyne finding himself on the podium again.
Thomas Lemoyne securing second place and catapulting himself to the top of the King of Crankworx leaderboard. Well, earlier he had this to say. He knew that he had to get a slopestyle podium in 2019. He's been working so hard on that, and he didn't get one last year. Well, today, his wish came true. Second place for Thomas Lemoyne. And a very, very exciting developing story here for the King of Crankworx. We've never seen a slopestyle rider take that title. It's always been riders with the race background and the race focus. Thomas Lemoyne, the only slopestyle rider who even competes in all these other events. So second place, really shaking things up here. But the way this format works here in slopestyle is 2 runs, best run counts. This is the only guy left who has a run to take, but he's the guy who's at the top of the leaderboard, meaning he is the winner of this competition. It's not the first time he's taken a victory lap. He's doing it again here. All the hard work paying off for Brett Reeder.
Brett riding on such another level these days, making everything look so easy and doing tricks that aren't even in other riders' trick bags on features that are not typical to do tricks like that. Backflip bar spin just for no reason. He's already won. That's a technical trick right there. He's just doing it for fun.
Oh, this is going to be fun. I'm excited to watch this right now. Brett Reeder, victory lap with tricks that don't matter. You know, the judges, it doesn't matter what they think about this. He's going to do the tricks he likes to do, get the crowd going.
It's almost unfair how easy he makes everything look.
He won last year with his first run, took a victory lap. He went on to get second at every other stop and win Rampage. So the start to another exciting season here for the Crankworx World Tour, but also another great start to a season for Brett Reeder, the well-rounded rider out of Canada, setting up shop near Kelowna, BC, building his own training ground. That's the reason why you see him so dialed. On a day that riders crash, he's been practicing all these tricks at home. But we're in March right now. It's been winter at home. He traveled to Sweden to practice. See Brett celebrating with Casey Brown there. She knows how much work he's been putting into this and how much it means to him. Well, we know who our winner is. Now let's hear what he has to say, Michaela.
All right, let's get a few happy words here. How do you feel right now?
I feel really good. I feel relieved that all the training and the hard work over the winter paid off, and I guess I'm glad no one's seriously injured today after the finals, and yeah, damn, I can't believe it ended like this.
Well, amazing job. And your victory lap, instead of just cruising down, you knew you'd already won. You still threw down a bunch of tricks.
Yeah, for sure. It's for the crowns, it's for the crowd. I love you guys, New Zealand.
Well, speaking of crowns, won this one. Maybe another triple crown, maybe a triple crown for you this year?
Nah, it's too much pressure. We'll just see how the events go.
Well, enjoy the gold medal today, celebrate tonight, and we'll think about tomorrow.
Thank you so much.
Brett Reeder, he won this event in 2015, the first year we set up shop in Rotorua, New Zealand. He won last year and now going back to back, winning again in 2019, bringing next level tricks like that backflip tail up. He unveiled that one last year at Innsbruck. He did it again at Joyride, and now nobody's ever backflip tail off the on-off box here on the Kelly McGarry Slopestyle course, a course that has been around since 2015. New school tricks brought to a legendary course. So Brett Reeder taking home his third McGazza trophy here at Mount Ningataha, Rotorua, New Zealand. Second place, Thomas Lemoyne. Alex Elanco bursting onto the scene from Sweden, grabbing his first podium in his second season, only his second slopestyle event. Torquato Testa, Lukas Knopf rounding out the top 5. What an amazing event here at the Maxxis Slopestyle in memory of McGazza. So many surprises, so much for us to digest in our post-show. You're not going to want to miss what Darren Barraclough has to say. Stick around. Brett putting his name on that McGazza trophy for the third time in his career, adding another big W for him. He's right off camera. I'm going to give him an air 5 if that's okay with all of you. Air 5. Oh, okay, right here. Yes. So happy to see him grab that lead. But Darren, I mean, were you expecting to see so many crashes out there? That was probably the biggest surprise for me.
Yeah, absolutely. There's not a lot of the judging that I can really disagree with, other than the fact that a lot of guys went down. You know, we talked about it earlier, the fact that so many riders are putting it so on the line. You know, it's Tyler mentioned it earlier, the fact that it's the first event of the season, you know, and the riding level is just so insane. You know, like trying to beat a guy like Brett Reeder right now, like that's bangers every single jump. It's so gnarly.
The first event of the season always foreshadows what each rider's go-to is going to be. There's a couple new go-tos we saw Brett Reeder choose out here today, Ty.
the opposite cork 720 on the start step down. I didn't know he had that. These guys are so secretive. They don't put these things on social media because they don't want their competitors to know. But he's so many levels ahead that would anybody else have even learned that if they saw him do that? Probably not. How staying ahead of the curve is a huge part of it.
Well, now everybody else knows what they have to go home and work for. Alex Elanco obviously went home and worked really hard after the 14th place in Innsbruck on his debut appearance, and it really paid off out here. 3rd place for Alex Elanco. Let's take a look back at his run. So he started out strong there, the same way that Thomas Genon started his run last year, the opposite 360 one-footed can-can on the step down. Now, tricks always matter more when they're on a step down or a hip, Tyler. No 360 double bar spin. And here we go. You hear us talk about the difficulty of an opposite cork 720. Brett Reeder leading the charge by doing that off the start feature, but Alex Elanco not too far behind. He has that trick as well. He's doing it off the final jump, which is easier. But do you think now, with months to go, will he start working on that trick to add it around in different parts of the course?
Yeah, absolutely.
We saw how much he improved his game from Innsbruck last year, so now he's going to take that same momentum from here and work towards Innsbruck this year.
Kid's hungry.
He's dangerous. I mean, if you're out there as one of his competitors, you know that Sweden just got that new training facility, and we've seen Martin Soderstrom, Emilio Hansen, Max Fredrickson, they all have kind of a similar style. Alex Elanco kind of marching to the beat of his own drum out there. But 2nd place, the guy who we've been talking about all week, if you've been following the other events here at the Crankworx first stop in Rotorua, Thomas Lemoyne grabbing another podium. It was just a few hours ago he won the pump track last night. He catapulted himself to the top of the King Crankworx overall rankings. He's the only slopestyle competitor who competes in all these other disciplines out here. He's so well-rounded. Watch this guy. Great style, never pedals.
Putting a lot on his plate at this Crankworx stop here, going for that King of Crankworx, and he's sitting right where he wants to. He won pump track, he got a podium in slopestyle, and now he's leading the King of Crankworx overall at this point.
Now, 1st place, Brett Reeder running that jersey with all the logos on it. Thomas Lemoyne, what do you think about the pants, Darren?
Man, those have got to be the most stylish pants, maybe.
Do you like them, today? Darren, or are you being sarcastic?
I'm being so sarcastic. Definitely never afraid to be different, Thomas, as usual.
Yeah,
always
whatever
coming
works.
out with some flair and some style. And him, man, you know, he's that guy that just wants to do what he wants to do.
Play to your strengths. I feel like if you put that jersey from Brett Reeder on Thomas Lemoyne, he wouldn't ride like Thomas Lemoyne. If you put those pants on Brett Reeder, I mean, we'd have something to laugh at, but he wouldn't probably ride the same as well. So a lot of different styles, a lot of different approaches, 3 different ways to find yourself on the podium here, the first stop of the Crankworx World Tour. But speaking of podiums, that's who's standing on it. Let's take a look as they climb on. We're going to get the champagne showers going shortly. Photo ops all the way across the board, and very familiar territory for Brett Reeder.
McGazza 2019. What an epic afternoon it has been at Crankworx Rotorua, and we are going to get underway with the awards ceremony because we have the trophy and a special tonga to also award to our gold medalists. But we're going to be calling up our 3rd place getter. Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise, get rowdy for Alex Elanco. Our bronze medalist in the McGazza Slopestyle in memory of McGazza. Make some noise, Rotorua, for Alex Elanco. Your silver medalist in the McGazza Slopestyle at Crankworx 2019 here in Rotorua. Give it up for Thomas Lemoyne. So Brett receiving
There we
the
go.
trophy.
We have a first-time podium there in third place for Alex Elanco, a return to the podium for Thomas Lemoyne, and then a third time on the top step for Brett Reeder.
He's also receiving a very special tonga from our Deputy Mayor, Dave Donaldson.
Well, what a great way to kick off the 2019 Crankworx FMBA World Championship. We're starting off 2019 just like we did 2018. Hopefully we'll see a big battle to the finish. 2 more stops to go on the World Tour. Innsbruck, Austria next. We'll finish it all off. Red Bull Joyride in Whistler, British Columbia. If this is any indication, the 2019 slopestyle season will be another one we'll be speaking of for years. Time to start digesting this event, and what better way than to bring up one of the decision makers to join us in the booth, Grant Chopper Fielder. I never envy you guys' job. You're just one floor behind us on this big old tower here. We got a great view of the course, and so do you. What did you see? How did it look through your eyes?
Well, what we see from the tower is only the bottom section of the course, so obviously we're relying on a lot of monitors in front of us, and yeah, that's what we saw.
So one thing that we weren't expecting to see so much, and usually makes it a little bit more difficult for you guys, is crashes. You're going to have to score runs against each other that aren't top to bottom, and those actually may end up ranking. When you see so many people fall right there, you could get 6 with a crash.
Yeah, the most frustrating thing for us is we want every single rider to be super stoked when they get to the bottom, but when they crash so early on in the year as well, it so sucks, you know. Like we want it to be absolutely crammed with scores, but obviously it will make judging a little bit easier when they do crash, but that's the last thing we want.
Yeah,
so,
you prepare for everybody to stump to run. I'm sure you don't prepare for so many people to fall like that.
Definitely not.
Now, Brett Reeder, tiny little pedal slip.
Yeah.
On the last jump, but in the context of such a ridiculous run where he was flawless the whole rest of the way, did you score that any differently based on what the other people were doing, knowing that today you could get away with a little bit more bobbles because so many people were full on crashing?
No, not necessarily. Obviously the little bobble which Reeder did do right at the very end, we do have to take that into consideration because it's not a clean run, you know, and part of the criteria is being clean, you know, execution is critical. So if Reeder did actually have both of his feet super clean on the pedals, then his score would have been higher. Simple. Like, look at Le Mans' run. He's the perfect example of riding smooth, high, good variety of riding. When you've got Reeder, does pretty much everything, but smooth as well. But that little bobble did make a difference to his score. So, yeah, we do have to, I think it was 5 points we had to knock it off.
Yeah, well, I know he'll go back home. He's got a slopestyle course in his backyard, and he'll be looking at the footage from this event, figuring out ways he can improve, because with Nicoli Rogatkin not getting his run, you got to believe that he's going to go home and do his training as well.
I think the only thing with Reeder's run I think I could fault was he probably could have thrown an extra bar spin in. Because the guy is just absolutely packed with decent moves, variety, and I don't know what else he can throw in his training ground, can he?
Well, I don't know. Maybe we should ask him. Thank you, Grant Chopper Fielder, for explaining how hard your job is. And we're going to hand that microphone over to Brett Reeder. Hey, Brett. Hey, Brett, you get over here.
Good work, man. Thanks, man. So good.
First of all, congrats.
Thank you.
Insane. I feel like this is deja vu because I've congratulated you 3 times for the same thing. You've won this competition 3 times. How does this course stack up to the other ones on tour?
I don't know. I mean, this one's just good, like all around. It's just a good course. I mean, Kelly McGarry built it back in the day with Tom Hay and the crew, and the dirt here is like, there's something special about the dirt. It's like it soaks up water if it's raining. If people crash, like it's easy to slide out on. It's just all around a good course.
Okay, so I want to go piece by piece and analyze this run because you surprised me a couple times. And
really?
let's roll the footage. Let's have you talk over this run.
Okay.
as we listen at the edge of our seat.
So this one was a switch 7 on the first, and I was so scared to try that.
That's a new one for you, right?
Yeah, that one's new for me. I started off by that was my first trick I did in practice, this regular cork 720, and I was like, if I land that, then I'm doing the switch 7 for sure on the first one. And then this is also a new one for me as well, 360 double tail, which I didn't really land that smooth, but room for improvement. Into switch double whip, which I was supposed to do last year.
I knew, we saw you do that in practice. I was hoping we were going to see it again this year.
Yeah, and then this one I was just so worked up I forgot to do the third bar spin there. And then I just wanted to get at least a switch truck up before the flip whip, and
that right
I
there.
Honestly didn't really know how this was going to go, which was really scary. But I landed it pretty good. And credit to Tom Van Steenbergen for that trick. I always wanted to learn it, but I gave him 2 years exclusivity, and then the cork 720 bar spin on the last, and I wasn't able to keep my feet on, but I tried so hard, just to let you guys know. So yeah, and then wow, Nicoli was giving me credit. That's cool.
Oh yeah,
that's cool.
Gosh!
Was that you writing down all the things?
Maybe. Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay. Cork 720. It's hard whether you're going to do it regular or you're going to do it opposite. We haven't seen you do it opposite off a step down before.
No.
Have you done it on dirt before?
No, no. And then last year was the first time I ever did a cork 7 on a step down here in practice, and then I've really only done regular cork 7 last year in practice and one in my first run, and then this year I was like, I need to switch 7 it, and I just so I've only ever learned both cork 7s on this step down. So
did you do it in practice on this one, or just save it for the run?
Yeah, I did in practice.
Okay. How many times?
Just once.
Smart.
Yeah.
You had 3 different cork 720s in your run.
Yeah.
3 of them, but they were all different in their own ways.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna cork 7 the last jump. I was gonna do a backflip opposite double tail it.
Okay.
Just to balance it. Yeah, I don't ever want to do too many tricks back to back.
But they were all different, which is
they were all different,
crazy.
and that's why I ended up doing the cork 7 bar on the last, because it's obviously a way different jump than the shark fin. But I just gotta work on that flip opposite double whip some more at home before I really bring it into contest.
Ooh,
It screwed me up a couple times last year in contests, and I haven't had the time or resources to really work on it that much.
2 more events this season, we may see it. Yeah, you've been busy with other things, like, for example, October, winning Rampage. It's no big deal. Stuff that, this type of riding doesn't really apply to, because it's a different bike. It's all about the terrain. You won that. That's ridiculous, because you come from the plains of Ontario. You've proved that you're a very well-rounded mountain biker. You can do it all, win slopestyle, win Rampage. And you keep adding tricks. Take the tricks do them on a different feature. One trick that you added was the front flip one-footed can-can.
Yeah.
You can't overlook these little subtleties.
No.
Now, just front flipping it's going to score high, but a little subtlety like that, doing something that people aren't doing, is that something you're hoping to bring to more events this year?
Yeah, for sure. Every trick that I learn, I want it to be different and new. I try to do things my own way. I don't ever really want to step on people's toes. That's why I don't do the cash rolls and that. We all know who brought cash rolls to contest, and it just it's not my thing, and there's other tricks that aren't my thing, and so
everybody's got their thing, and that's what makes slopestyle so incredibly entertaining. And it appears your thing is winning Crankworx Rotorua, because you did it for the 3rd time today. Congratulations. So happy for you, man. Just thinking back to you being a little Grom and hoping that you could someday make a career at this, and now to see all you've been able to accomplish. Good job, Brett Reeder. Good job.
Thanks, guys. Thank you. Yeah, I can't believe I landed that so good. I was so scared I was going to case it.
All right, thanks for the show, Brett Reeder. We'll celebrate later, man. Adios, amigo.
Thank you.
Man, 2019 season is going to be ridiculous. Will we see Brett Reeder and Nicoli Rogatkin battle it out again? This is the same way it started last season. Nicoli not getting the result he wanted, then he went on to win every other event. whole lot more events at Crankworx festivals than just slopestyle. And that's why you see all these faces on this podium. These are the current leaders for the king and queen of Crankworx overall. This is the first time we've seen a slopestyle competitor at the top of the leaderboard at any point in time since we've been doing king and queen. Via Verbeek there leading the charge for the women. Annika Beerton there in second place. Shania Rawson there in third. Keegan Wright, Billy Meeklum won the speed and style a couple nights ago. They will all be back to continue battling on stop number 2, Crankworx Innsbruck, Austria in June. You're not going to want to miss that. Plenty of action yet to come in this very young 2019 season. And of course, slopestyle only exists because of the experiment up there in BC on the Boneyard slope. Joyride. Get your VIP tickets if you want the best seat in the house. Take a look at this. This is where it all started. The biggest course of the season, all the top riders, and you think it was entertaining today? Well, they always bring something special for Red Bull Joyride. If you want to see it from the most special place, June 30th, get your tickets by then. Go to crankworx.com/whistler/VIP. Tyler, final thoughts.
That was an amazing show. I hope that we see a healthy Diego Cavarzasi, a healthy Emilio Hansen, and all the other top dogs that screwed up today. I know that they're going to go back home, scratch their heads, think about what they did wrong, what they did about what they did right, and they're going to come to Innsbruck hungry. So all these guys have a lot of work cut out for them.
Just a few more months, we're going to see the results of all that work. Now they have the knowledge, they have the time to put in. We'll see you again at Crankworx Austria, just a few months away. Well, for our entire broadcast team here at Crankworx Rotorua, can't thank you all enough for tuning in. I'm your host, Cam McCall, alongside Tyler McCall, Darren Barrickloff, Michaela Gatto, and our entire production crew here. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in Austria.